Thank you for standing by, and welcome to the Vimeo Annual Meeting of Stockholders. I will now turn the meeting over to Glenn Schiffman. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Operator. Good morning and welcome to our 2025 Annual Meeting of Stockholders. We greatly appreciate your interest in Vimeo. I will now call the Vimeo Virtual Annual Meeting of Stockholders to order. I'm Glenn Schiffman, Chairman of the Board of Directors. I will serve as Chair of today's meeting, and Jessica Tracy, our General Counsel and Secretary, will serve as Secretary of today's meeting. I'd like to introduce the other members of the board who have joined us today: Adam Gross, Jay Haradi, Mo Koifman, Alexander von Furstenberg, and Philip Moyer, our Chief Executive Officer. We're also joined by our board advisor, Joey Levin, as well as our three new director nominees, Adam Cahan, Lydia Jett, and Kirsten Kliphaus. Also joining us today is Jillian Munson, Chief Financial Officer, along with Lauren Mai, Michelle D'Agostino, and Jessica Miro of Ernst & Young, the company's independent registered public accounting firm. Please note that only stockholders of record as of April 21st, 2025, or their duly appointed proxies will be able to ask questions and vote in today's meeting, and we will do our best to respond to as many questions as possible. You will have access to a copy of the agenda and rules of conduct for today's meeting on the web portal. We will follow them closely so that we can conduct this meeting as efficiently as possible. Jessica Tracy will now present the Corporate Secretary's report and explain our voting procedures. Jess?
Thank you, Glenn. The notice of meeting was mailed by Broadridge Financial Solutions on April 29, 2025, to all stockholders of record as of April 21st, 2025. As a result, the meeting is being held pursuant to proper notice. The following items will be filed with the minutes of this meeting: an affidavit of Broadridge as to the mailing on April 29, 2025, of a notice of internet availability for materials related to this meeting, the notice of this meeting, the company's annual report for the fiscal year ended December 31st, 2024, and the company's proxy statement dated April 29th, 2025. A certified list of the holders of the company's capital stock as of the close of business on April 21st, 2025, prepared by Computershare, the company's transfer agent, will be filed with the minutes. Tracy Oates from Broadridge has been appointed as Inspector of Elections for the meeting. Ms. Oates has signed an oath to act as Inspector of Elections, and this oath will be filed with the minutes of this meeting. Most stockholders have already voted by proxy, and your proxy votes have been tallied. I will now ask Tracy to report on whether a quorum is present.
Thank you, Jessica. Proxies representing more than 91% of the shares of the company's outstanding capital stock eligible to vote have been received, and accordingly, a quorum is present, and the meeting is duly constituted and should proceed.
Thank you, Tracy. We now ask that our shareholders consider the matters set forth in the proxy statement. I would like to ask Jessica to review these matters to be voted on today.
Thanks, Glenn. Stockholders who executed proxies or voted online or by telephone do not need to vote again online through the web portal unless they wish to change their vote. If any stockholder entitled to vote and who entered the meeting with their control number wishes to change their vote, or who has not yet voted and wants to during the meeting, they may submit their vote on the web portal using the voting button during the meeting and prior to the polls closing. The company has not received notice from any of its stockholders, as required under its bylaws, of any other matters to be considered at today's annual meeting. Therefore, no other proposals may be properly introduced by stockholders. The first item of business to come before the meeting is the election of the following 9 director nominees to Vimeo's board, each to hold office until the next annual meeting of stockholders: Adam Cahan, Adam Gross, Jay Haradi, Lydia Jett, Kirsten Kliphaus, Mo Koifman, Glenn Schiffman, Alexander von Furstenberg, and Philip Moyer. The election of Adam Gross, Lydia Jett, Mo Koifman, Glenn Schiffman, Alexander von Furstenberg, and Philip Moyer requires the affirmative vote of a plurality of the total number of votes cast by the holders of shares of Vimeo common stock and Class B common stock voting together as one class. Each share of common stock represents the right to one vote, and each share of Class B common stock represents the right to 10 votes. The election of Adam Cahan, Jay Harati, and Kirsten Cliffhouse requires the affirmative vote of a plurality of the total number of votes cast by the holders of shares of Vimeo common stock voting as a separate class. This proposal is discussed in the company's proxy statement. The board recommends a vote for the election of each of the director nominees. The second item of business to come before the meeting is the ratification of the appointment of Ernst & Young as our independent registered public accounting firm for fiscal year 2025. This proposal is discussed in the company's proxy statement. The board recommends a vote for the ratification of the appointment of Ernst & Young. The third item of business to come before the meeting is a non-binding advisory vote on the compensation of our named executive officers. This proposal is discussed in the company's proxy statement. The board recommends a vote for the advisory vote on the compensation of our named executive officers. If there are any questions regarding the voting procedures or these proposals, please submit the question by clicking the Q&A button and entering your question in the text box on the web portal now. Please note that we will also hold a question and answer session with management following the voting. There being no further discussion of the proposals, we will now proceed with final voting. Please vote on the web portal if you have not already done so. You may vote by clicking on the voting button on the web portal and following the instructions there. As a reminder, stockholders who have sent in proxies or voted via telephone or internet and do not want to change their vote need not take further action. That completes the voting on proposals before the stockholders. The polls are now closed.
Thank you, Jessica. When you are ready, will you please provide us with the preliminary voting results?
Based on the preliminary votes cast, each of the 9 director nominees is elected to the board, the appointment of Ernst & Young is ratified, and the compensation of our named executive officers is approved. A report with the final voting results will be filed with the minutes of the meeting. In addition, we will report the final results within 4 business days in a filing with the SEC.
At this time, we will hold a question and answer session with management, during which we will answer questions submitted online during or prior to the meeting that are pertinent to the annual meeting matters. If any shareholder who went through the meeting with their control number wishes to comment or raise any questions, please submit the question by clicking the Q&A button, followed by entering it in the text box on the web portal now. We'll pause to give you time to do selection.
We do have one question from a stockholder. I will read that question and then turn it over to our CEO, Philip Moyer, to respond. The question is, as per the 1792 exchange, the company routinely takes left-leaning positions on numerous divisive social issues, including encouraging the sexualization of young children at events like Newsfest Pride. Will Vimeo move back to neutrality and avoid this radical, divisive activist posturing? Philip.
So first of all, I want to thank you for being a shareholder. Our goal at Vimeo is to be one of the most trusted video platforms in the world. And we take matters like child safety seriously. And we actively invest in ensuring that we serve content in accordance with the policies, laws, and industry practices that protect child safety. We do not take political positions, but instead we are committed to supporting customers and creators around the globe with a wide variety of opinions and stories to be told. But we do this within the laws of the countries we serve. Thank you.
Jessica, are there any further questions?
That completes our Q&A session with management.
Thank you. We have now completed the business of the meeting, and our annual stockholder meeting is now adjourned. Thank you for your attendance, your continued interest, and your support of Vimeo. Have a great day.
This concludes today's meeting. You may now disconnect.